we think for the future when things will get back to normal, we think that the online teaching will stay as a very important part
and look, you don't have to fly anywhere. You're saving all this money instead of flying and spending thousands of dollars from flights on a hotel. You can take lesson with anybody on the entire world. I believe there is 90% of the teachers that they are the best in the industry, that they are doing that camps that they are cost $20 a class. I'm like, this is like, if someone likes to go to Starbucks, that's how you pay for 4 big drinks. Or if you go to Jamba Juice, I think you can afford maybe 3 Jamba Juice, right? And you can have a class with a world-class coach and listen to their opinion.
You brought up online training and the fact that because we're in this kind of weird time where a lot of us aren't able to be in the studio, or we're trying to limit the amount of time that we're spending face-to-face in the studio, you've taken this opportunity to spend it more with family, but you're continuing your education with your students online. So what was that adjustment period like? What tips or suggestions would you make for instructors that are moving to that mindset, or what reassurances would you give to students that are maybe on the fence about, do I want to do online education, or do I want to just wait and hope that this ends in November, December, February, March, June of 2021?
Well, I think the most important thing in our situation is that we already teaching online for about 4 years now. So we have quite a lot of experience already in that direction. So for us was pretty sort of smooth and natural choice since we couldn't organize our dance camp, to start online project, which really became very useful, I think, for both sides. So that's sort of the reason why we did it, and it became really, like I said, very successful.
Yeah, but what we said as well, when you teach online already for 4 years and you see that this actually brings benefits to the people, at the beginning we had the same, oh my gosh, how you can explain that? We normally touch, we go through the motions, but we become so much more precise in explanation. And very often we actually find much shorter versions of what we would show with the muscles and by ourselves. And when we teach these days, pro-am students, we teach amateur couples, we teach professional couples that they are on a regular basis. And we started almost immediately when this happened. Maybe 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, we already start teaching online. We basically... as a teachers, I think not only we became so much clearer, like I said, with the information, but our eye, it's so much more trained that you see all the little nuances that normally before maybe you wouldn't even pay attention to. And we see tremendous progress in those people who have been working with us on a weekly basis, bi-weekly. But it's truly amazing to see how much better they are by themselves. And professional couples, it's easier because they already have much more experience. But when we talk about the pro-am students and amateur couples that very often don't have the luxury of having those lessons so often, we actually see how they improve. And that's actually the biggest award for a teacher, when you see that your students, your little babies, they are doing everything by themselves. And they're perfectly balanced. They understand their body. They understand which muscles they have to use, because the teacher is not there to support them.
Right. So they become so much more independent. The self-awareness is growing so much, because now they obviously hear information. They might see a little bit on a obviously computer screen, but it's not the same as in the real life. So they have to digest and absorb those informations much more precisely in their heads, and then transform into their bodies, into the movement. So that's why the learning process actually it becomes much faster. You would think it's not going to happen like that, but it's actually, we are both amazed how much quicker students improve right now.
And we work normally, like we've been talking about this yesterday during our interview, when we were actually the one in your shoes. And what is very important, we finally have time to work on the details, where normally we always in a hurry because there is competition after competition after competition. And this is a great tool to push us to be the best as well. But now it's like we kind of took a step back to push 10 steps forward, because we all put so much more effort into technique and to become much more aware of the internal body, not so much about actual performance and dancing the routines from beginning to the end.
And that's what we're big believers anyway. So it probably suits our way of thinking and our way of how we approach dancing in general anyway. So.
Definitely.
So for all the teachers that they're somewhere there and you guys are hesitant, try it. Give the little steps to your students and give them all the technical things. They don't need to run the entire routines to become better. They actually, most of the time, they're going to hurt themselves doing this. When they work on the little details, they have actually a huge amount of possibility, I would say 99%, to be successful. And they will, when they come back to the studios and you can dance with them, you will feel how much more balanced they are. They are on their feet, they're lighter, they know what they're supposed to do, and you can just basically give them timing, direction, and that's all. So
we think for the future, when things will get back to normal, we think that the online teaching will stay as a very important part of.
And look, you don't have to fly anywhere. You're saving all this money instead of flying and spending thousands of dollars from flights on a hotel. You can take lesson with anybody on the entire world. I believe there is 90% of the teachers that they are the best in the industry, that they are doing that camps that they are cost $20 a class. I'm like, this is like, if someone likes to go to Starbucks, that's how you pay for 4 big drinks. Or if you go to Jamba Juice, I think you can afford maybe 3 Jamba Juice, right? And you can have a class with a world-class coach and listen to their opinion. In the worst scenario, at least you know what they're looking for when they're judging you. That's like the worst. If you don't understand, at least you know what they like to see when they're judging you, and maybe why they didn't mark you to win.
Yeah. So, a couple things that I want to key in on that you mentioned. The first is specifically when you're working with pro-am students. I 100% agree. I started doing online virtual lessons just out of survival. Like I can't not teach. So how can I still connect with my students? How can I keep them motivated? And for my gentlemen that I compete with in a pro-am basis, or I'm working on getting them into the competition world, I have noticed that in the last 2 months, I have used so much of my time and effort focusing on just their ankle activation in the rise and fall and waltz. That is something that I would never, if I was in a studio with them, I would just be getting them through the paces and like, please learn this routine so that you could potentially lead me someday in the future. But now, because I can't physically be in that space, I'm really pushing them to understand every bit of that process and every bit of those foundational elements that we normally don't get a chance to really dig in deep on. So I would 100% agree that switching to that online format gives you such the ability to hone your eye, hone your focus, and really push your students in a direction that is going to make a huge difference in their dancing. The other thing that you mentioned was just access to quality dance instruction at a very high level for a very low price. I think depending on where you're located in the country and what the size of your student or studio base is, it's very difficult to fly instructors at a certain caliber out to do one-on-one coaching, or to do a mastery camp, or to do a short form 2-day workshop lecture series. So now that we know that this is possible, now that we know that we can get everyone in our living room potentially, I think that opens up the opportunity for people in those more remote locations or working with a smaller student base to be like, hey, no, I can bring up Slawek and Marzena and I can pay them maybe a little bit less because I'm not having to cover airline tickets and hotel, but still a good amount to work with my students and to see in that virtual world. So I think that's absolutely fantastic.
If I can, even these days, people are doing medal tests online. People are passing judging exams online. Everything became so much more accessible. So there were so many different ways. And at the beginning, when we actually offered to the students that we can do those exams, people were like, oh my gosh, we never thought about this. I said, there is no way someone is going to lie, cheat, or anything in front of the camera, because you can see them and you know if they know or they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if they go and they start looking for answers on the wall, you know they have no idea what is the question about, right? So it's very, I think this is actually the best time, and we've been actually following so many different professionals that we used to work with when we used to do tendons. We wanted to train with them and listen to their information to kind of expand our brain and put so much more new information, new way of approaching certain things from the top class coaches.